Hello and welcome to the first episode of Full Time Vibe, the show where we mix the weird world of football and music together.
That's correct. My name is Arran Day. I've got a beard and long hair, but I like football. But from a distance, you'd think I live in the woods.
And I'm Ryan. I don't quite have as long of a beard, but there is still something there. I'm just holding
You got
on
a
to
good beard, man.
I don't know. I'm trying to grow it out for the winter.
It's a good. Trust me.
Go lumberjack.
Yeah, big time. I've been lumberjack for a number of years now. Gets you free sausage rolls.
Going straight into it. What is your favourite team and band?
Well, my team is Nottingham Forest.
Rough times.
Rough times, man. I mean, we just brought Chrissy Houghton in, and I think Chrissy, he's more embodies what the club's about. I mean, I came Forest fan because we had a letter in the post, which I assume my dad must have requested. From I think Sherwood the Bear. I'm pretty sure Sherwood the Bear was the mascot like around 2002.
I've never even heard of Sherwood.
No, I mean if I've made it up, then I've got issues.
Is this the Mandela effect where it's never existed?
I just make up my own mascots.
Yeah.
I mean they've got Robin Hood now, and Robin Hood's a dick. He's a dick in my opinion. Where's the bear? But yeah, so
he shot the bear.
He shot the bear. Yeah. There's a whole like cartoon about it, a very horrific cartoon on the Forest website. No, there isn't. So I became a Forest fan because my dad signed me up for the Young Forest Supporters Club, and I just fell in love with it straight away. I mean, first game was Stockport, so the got in deep into English football.
Yeah, it's a major start.
Yeah, and the second game was Preston North End.
Oh.
So I was hooked at that point, as you can imagine. But yeah, just fell in love with it. I mean, Forest was a good time to become a Forest fan around 2002, 2003, because I had a lot of young players coming through, Dawson, Andy Reid, Jermaine Ginas.
It was kind of turning the corner, because you had the major slump through, like, the 90s, where you just collapsed.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. So people would talk about Clough and obviously his downfall. And downfall's the wrong word, but just the end of an era,
Yeah, he just went on a bit too long.
Yeah, same as it's the Wenger thing as well, isn't it? And I didn't really know any of that for many years. Obviously, as soon as you become a Forest fan, you learn quite quickly about Clough and the European, cups and stuff. But yeah, so I kind of came in as this fresh new sort of rebirth, really. So it was cool as a young Forest fan to be a part of that. But we never got up. And obviously, eventually, we had a few relegations down to League One. So I properly paid my dues, definitely. But yeah, I mean, my dad grew up in Alveston, but I think he always felt Forest was just the club he wished he'd supported, because we were quite close to Nottingham. It just felt right. And yeah, years as a season ticket, years of disappointment and enjoyment, which is the staple of the football fan.
Well, that's it. It's proper grassroots, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. And my favourite band, I mean, this is a question that is
You've changed the answer a couple of times, haven't you?
I've changed it so many times.
It's a hard question.
Well, it's difficult, man, because we've both been through the thing, which I'm sure many people listening have, where you change, your musical interests as you get older. I now listen to lots of sort of 60s, 70s, very Neil Young, folky stuff. But back in the day when I first got into music, it was Iron Maiden, it was Blackstone Cherry, whereas Blackstone Cherry have really changed now. They're not the band that I fell in love with. I mean, I adored them. I go to every tour, buy every album, and they've just fallen into the dad rock cycle a little bit. Do you know what? I'm going to pick Maiden.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Maiden, man. I really feel
even
now, because even now, if Maiden toured after all this lockdown palaver, I'd go and see Maiden.
Yeah,
I'd really enjoy it, man. I'd have the same excitement as a little kid. And even now, if I listen to Maiden in the van or with my missus, I don't feel any less cooler. I feel a little bit cooler listening to like a obscure 70s acoustic folk, But I just think every time I enjoy it, and it takes me back to that place, and I think that's what music's about. So yeah, Ryan Vacey of Full Time Vibe. Who is your team and who is your band?
Oh dear, we're going down the road of punishment immediately.
No, it's a local team, isn't it? It's a local team. Grew up with them.
My team is Man United.
What? I mean, I've known him Ryan for a long time now, but what?
It's a family thing. It goes back literally generations. I'm not quite sure how it began because it goes back quite far. I'm going to presume that maybe we lived a bit nearer, like a few generations.
So take me through these generations.
Well, like I know that my granddad supported them, and then my dad supported them, but I believe that it's before that as well. I believe it's the great granddad.
Wow.
And then probably before that as well.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure the listeners will join me. We're in the court of football now.
Oh yeah.
Man United
Everybody goes, "Oh, are you a glory hunter?" I mean, I can definitely say I'm not now because we're shit. But I was fortunate because I grew up in the era, obviously, when we basically won everything.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as a 4-year-old kid, that's just great.
Amazing.
But you know. It's weird. I mean, my dad he had the same thing where when he was young, he had the likes of, you know, the Busby Babes where we won everything. And then we turned shit in like the 80s. Essentially, it's gone the full cycle again. I had the Fergie era when we won everything, and now we're crap again.
It's like a punishment, isn't it?
It's like if you're gonna get the success, you've got to take the crap as well. So,
I mean, what was it like being a United fan when Fergie went? I mean, can you remember Can you remember how you felt, or what the chats you had with your dad when you knew it was probably going to happen?
Yeah, it was weird for the 2 previous seasons to that last year. You could see it was coming, and you knew that the club would suffer.
Yeah.
You know that it's like make the most of it now because it's going to get.
It's a good way of putting it.
It's going to get rough. You know, because the thing is, he's such an influential person.
Yeah.
He was essentially doing multiple jobs. You know, he's proper old school manager. And yeah, it was just, you know, make the most of it. Because it's going to be in for a bit of a rough ride before it gets right again. I think we will get it right eventually because we're just that much of a big club, but it's just going to take time. Liverpool had the same.
Yeah, very true. I think the two of you have swapped for a little bit, you know, and now it's time for the United fans to ride them rough waves and stick with the club. Oh, it sounded beautiful, that didn't it? Ride them rough waves. I should be a marriage counsellor. It's time to ride.
I feel like I need to go into counselling after seeing United.
You and United on a sofa.
It's a punishment watching United.
It is at the minute, but we'll obviously look at all that as we go on. Who's your favourite band?
Favourite band? Like you, when I was younger, you know, I loved the likes of Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden used to be my top band.
I remember you saying this.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I was majorly into them. Particularly when I went to go and see them. The first time I went to see them, and there's a great story where at the end of the gig, the drummer, he was throwing out all the drum skins.
Nico.
Nico. He was throwing out the drum skins that were signed. And I was stood there with my dad and I was like, for Christ's sake, he could have thrown like 1 hour away. And we get to the car park and my uncle's holding his face and he just hands me a signed drum skin. I'm like, what the hell's this? Like, what's going on? And obviously, I realise it's a drum skin. I'm like, oh, you managed to get one. That's really cool. And he's like, oh, that's yours because it was like my birthday.
Oh, sick.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
But what had happened, which...
Yeah, why is your uncle holding his face?
Yeah, why is he holding his face? Well, because as Nico threw it out, it somehow skimmed right across the top of the crowd. Like, my uncle was right near the back, so I don't know how it got that far back.
It's a testament to Nico's chucking skill.
And he threw it at such velocity that it hit my uncle square in the nose. And he literally had blood everywhere.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him. I reckon Nico, if you ever hear this, Nico, get in touch. You know, you can write to us at and you know, find out how you nearly decapitated Ryan's uncle.
Yeah,
that's class though, man.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't that made me not like them anymore. I still love them. I still go and see them now. But like as you get older, you kind of mature a bit more. And you listen to a lot more stuff. And for me now, it's like it has to be Led Zeppelin now. You know, they are like the complete band. Every time you go back and listen to the albums, there's just something different there that you didn't notice before. There's so much there. You know, they're just proper musicians.
Yeah, and like I say, no discredit to Maiden at all.
No, because I still love them.
Yeah, and I completely get the vibe because I was the same way. My dad was never that into Zeppelin. obviously, I had a lot of respect for them, but he just never had that same attachment, and so I didn't really get it. But then I was like, same as yourself, when I was about 2021, I really went through the back catalogue, and House of the Holy in particular, when it all got quite sort of, where they started mucking about with effects, particularly as a guitarist with Jimmy Page a lot more, they're a class band,
This is it. I mean, it was my dad's, well, it still is now, it's my dad's favourite band.
What's your favourite Zeppelin song? It's not in the order for the show, but
that's a difficult one, isn't it? Everybody always asks that.
Go on, I'll pick my favourite Maiden song. You pick your favourite Zeppelin song. I've got more time to pick mine. I
know you've thrown me under the bus. I'm going to say I'm going to leave you one.
Oh, baby, I'm never gonna leave you.
Yes.
Oh, it's a great song. Great early Zeppelin as well, man.
Yeah. Either that or like Ramble On.
Yeah, Ramble On. Ramble On's a class one. For Maiden, I feel like I have to have something off the first two albums, because that's very much we've had this conversation before. A lot of Maiden fans.
So you prefer Dianio.
I don't prefer Dianio. I think Dickinson's the vocalist Maiden were meant to have. I think he's the better vocalist, the better songwriter. But I have an emotional connection to Dianio, because my first ever real album was Maiden's first album on CD. My dad bought me a load of CDs. I think there was some modern bands, Genesis, Nursery Crime. I was never going to fucking listen to that at 10. You know what I mean? Whereas I quite like it now. Some Priest albums, stuff like that. And I just immediately loved it. I can remember opening the book out in the CD and just seeing pictures of the all very 1980 new wave of British heavy metal, and I just thought it was class. And like I say, I don't think Paul's the better vocalist, but it's just that connection to that particular period, because it's so new wave of British heavy metal, and I just love that how rootsy and East End it is.
Yes, it's very East End. It feels a lot more punky.
Yeah, definitely.
See, for me, that's where I have the trouble with it. I don't hate it per se. I connect more with Bruce.
Yeah, of course, man. I get that. I mean, I think if they'd stuck with Paul, they wouldn't have grown into the band that they are. They wouldn't have gone to that level. No discredit to him, because I just think Bruce just took it to this next level. Bruce was who Steve needed, because for the platform to take his songs and his writing to that level, he needed that operatic. They became a lot more melodic at that point, and that was I think the band he wanted. Influences of Wishbone Ash and all that, and that was where he wanted to take it. And Paul was never going to do that. In terms of my favourite song, it's difficult on the spot. I came up with this. I came up with this as a segment, and I put myself on my arse. I'd probably have Prowler. First song on the first album. It's not a great song, it's not the best song, but it's just something. Do you know what? Actually, that's bollocks. I'd have Killers off the second album. Yeah.
Have you heard
Killers is sick.
Have you heard the audition tape that Bruce did for Killers?
No.
Because that's insane.
Is it?
Oh, Jesus.
Because obviously he's done Murders of the Rue Monk.
He goes mental in that audition tape. It's been leaked. It's online available now if you want to check it out.
Yeah, we'll check that out. I'll definitely check that out.
It's mad.
Because he did, on the Run to the Hills tour, they did Murders of the Rue Monk, which is off Killers. He's done Wrathchild a lot later on in the years, when they came back in the 2000s. That was part of the set list. And obviously he's always done Iron Maiden. I think he's done Phantom of the Opera a couple of times.
Yeah.
There's a great... with that, the early years DVD, you got a clip of them at the Rainbow. I just remember, as I think his Ideas of March plays before they come on, it's got Paul putting his bullet belts on, them all get Dave's got a lovely, it's ever so lovely leopard skin waistcoat. It's beautiful, but
class.
They whack it on and then they come out and do Wrathchild, and it's just, this is sick, it's so 80s, and I think that was, but he does a different, you probably know this yourself because we're both nerds, but he does different lyrics for Killers.
Yes.
I'd be pissed if I was if I wrote them lyrics and he gets if in my band Artwell came out and sang different lyrics, I'd be like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? But thankfully he doesn't, because he does well to remember the ones we've got. A bit of a rabbit hole, but I'd probably have Killers.
That's a solid choice.
Right, so
Yes.
Our first official segment
I know.
on Full-Time
Going
Guide.
for the review of the week.
Which focuses a lot on your team, really, right? Doesn't it?
I know. when we first came up with the idea for this podcast, United had done pretty decent. We'd beaten PSG.
Kiss of death, man.
Pretty comfortably. We had a solid result against Newcastle. Not bad. And then we just destroyed Leipzig. And I thought, here we go.
Great run of 3 games. Yeah,
we're turning around the corner. And then we faced Istanbul. With a 35-year-old Demba Ba running across the pitch very slowly.
Go on, Demba.
I know.
Go on,
he
Demba.
might just make it.
I reckon he rang his mum up afterwards and went, "Mum, you wouldn't believe what I did tonight. Like, I've done it, Mum. I've done it, Mum. Do you love me now, Mum?" His mum doesn't pick up the phone.
No, it's just continuous answer machine.
Yeah, but he just keeps going, "Do you love me now, Mum?" We'll talk more about Demba Ba's difficult relationship with his mother later on in the show. But in all seriousness, though, we've reached that point with United where I think Solskjaer is really clinging on. I mean, we watched the PSG game and they were awesome, but like you said a minute ago before off air. Leipzig have just beaten PSG quite comfortably. Yes. So was that PSG result, as putting PSG up in too high regards? I mean, I thought they were really well organised, and this is the thing with Solskjaer. I feel that there's aspects of his managerial ability that's actually really, really solid, but I just don't think he's got the experience.
He's better when he's the underdog.
Yes, very well put.
When United are up against teams that people don't expect them to win against, like PSG, even you could even argue Leipzig, they could catch United out. We're better as a counter-attacking team. If we sit back and just hit them on the counter, we'll get the result.
Yeah.
We'll destroy teams. But like with Istanbul, if they do that, if they sit back and hit us on the counter, because we're just throwing everything forward at that point, we just fall apart every single time. And you can say this against the teams in the Premier League when we played Palace and Brighton. They all did the same thing.
Yeah.
And we don't seem to learn from that, and it's concerning because obviously I'm a United fan, but I've always backed Ollie since day one.
Yeah.
Sure he's the manager, but he's the guy that won us the Champions League. I mean, he's the treble guy. And it's difficult because it's getting to a point now where, particularly in the Istanbul game, sure the players were at fault as well because, Jesus, if you see those screenshots of when Demba Ba got away, there is no formation.
I watched the highlights last night.
Yeah, it's there's no organisation, but even disregarding that, it was just tactically inept in that game. I can't even defend him there because he was just pressing so far forward that it was obvious that the whole back line was just completely exposed.
I look at it as almost a bit of an immature arrogance. I think when you're a person in a job,
I think he underestimated them.
Yeah, definitely. I've had it before. When you're in a job and you kind of feel like you may be a little bit out of your depth, you go in there thinking, right, I'm going to be bullish. I'm going to try and show that I'm a bigger character than what I am. And I think this is where people go wrong. Sir Alex, one of the key things that he did.
He's a blowfish.
A little bit, yeah, maybe. I think he blowfished hard against Istanbul, and Istanbul made him look like a pillock, And I think the key of Sir Alex was he surrounded himself with people who did the things he doesn't. Mm-hmm. Sir Alex was very good at man management, and like with that game at Istanbul, there's a great thing after the game where they asked Ferdinand and Joe Cole, mainly directed at Ferdinand. What Ferdinand was basically saying after that game, you need to go there and you need to pull players up. And that's what Sir Alex did. He'd go in there after the game and he'd pull players up after a result like that. And they said, "Is that Solskjaer?" And he went, "Well, that's not what he was like as a player." He's either changed the way that he is, and I think that's the problem, is that unless he surrounds himself with people that are going to go in and do that for him, I worry after a result like that, because I imagine the dressing room to be very quiet, and that's the opposite of what you want it to be. There's no leaders in that squad. There's nobody that's going to come out. I know we always take the piss out of Roy Keane because he's just angry all the time.
He's amazing. I love
fantastic.
Roy Keane.
He's amazing.
When he came back after lockdown, he was like the world's angriest man.
Well, he's not moaned for
I love it because his opening statement after lockdown was David De Gea is the most overrated goalkeeper ever. I just felt like he was holding in sheer rage for that long. He's amazing.
I'd hate to be his postman, fit in his skybox, anything where I have to go in and do something where he feels he could do it better, which is everything. So you're just on your arse. I mean, to be married to him would be a nightmare.
Well, do you think he could do that better?
Yeah, everything. It'd be so easy if I could just marry myself. Yeah. You know, that's.
He just looks at himself in the morning in the mirror, just slightly brushes his hair a little bit, and he just nods his head. Yeah, and he thinks he's nailed it.
I am the dog stick. Yeah. You know, that's the kind of the realisation.
Yeah.
So I mean, where do you see United going after? Because they've got Everton this weekend.
I really think that as much as I don't want this to happen, because I do feel if you get any manager in, sure there's going to be a bounce. I mean, it's looking like it's Pochettino.
Yeah. But
sure there's going to be a bounce, but you're going to fall into the same traps again, because to be fair to Ollie, he wasn't backed in the summer again, just like Mourinho wasn't backed as well in his summer. And it's the same pattern over and over again. Ed Woodward is the common denominator. Every time. It's another example of his failure, I think, ultimately.
I'm going to go back at you just for another side of the coin. Most people will say that United fans are very quick to blame Ed Woodward. Would you think that's completely wrong then?
No.
Do you think that that's the main cause of
He is the problem. Well, if you look, right, since Fergie left, who is the one common denominator? The players have changed. The manager's changed. The only man left.
You're not wrong.
Is Ed Woodward.
You're not wrong. I mean, if you were dissecting, I don't know, a circuit board for what's wrong,
if you were going to troubleshoot, he is the only thing left.
One thing left, then you'd look at that as the issue. But the problem was the hierarchy at United won't look at that.
No.
So this
is why I believe that. Sure, you can sack Ollie, and I think after this weekend against Everton, I think that's going to happen.
But Poch will come in.
Yeah, I think Pochettino will come in. We'll get a bounce, but probably won't get backed in the summer again, and then it'll fall apart again.
And the cycle, man. But like I said to you off air, my only worry with bringing Poch in is it just returns to the previous cycle, which didn't work. There's something that's good that's happening in English football in particular at the minute, where younger managers, ex-players are coming into clubs, and it gives them time. It really does. Arteta will have time at Arsenal because the expectations are lowered. Same with Solskjaer. But I agree completely. If you bring Poch in, you'll get that initial push, but then it would eventually will just end up in the same cycle.
Yeah, it was the same with Ollie. We had a massive push after Ollie. I mean, to be fair, you cannot not hire him after the run he had. He had a better start than Fergie. He had a better start as above any other Manchester United manager in history. I mean, if you didn't sign him after that, then it's just madness.
I personally think he's his experience and his management.
He's starting to get exposed.
Yeah, I just think because of experience, he's not been at this level. So when you're not backed and you haven't got the momentum, this is where it shows the sheer class of managers, particularly Sir Alex, who continuously rebuilt a job, but he was continuously rebuilt a squad, but he was also continuously backed and given the power to do that. And if Ollie isn't given that, then he's now in a situation. I mean, where are they? Right, they're 15th.
We currently stand 15th, but if we lose this weekend again, we're probably going to drop into the bottom three or four.
I think you'll be one place over. If Fulham and Brighton win. I mean, I think Brighton are very capable of winning. Fulham maybe not as much, but either way, I mean, your next closest rivals are City at 10th, and that's bad for City. Never mind for United in 15th. Yeah. So I agree. I think if they lose to Everton this weekend, which is very, very likely, because Everton, I know they've had a rough couple of games.
They've lost 2 on the bounce, but they were missing Richarlison and James Rodriguez.
I don't know if they come back this weekend.
If they're available this weekend, we're in big trouble.
Well, as well, I think because Ancelotti, the level of managers, even if they're not available, I think tactically he can beat Solskjaer.
Yes.
And I think Solskjaer is currently in the trend. He's in the.
There's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, when you're down, you're really down, and I think Ancelotti's got enough tactical awareness to be able to target that and beat them to a pulp. So we'll see what happens. I mean, our next team that we wanted to look at. So we're going to do every week. We're going to do a review of the last 3 weeks, and
we're going to kind of spotlight teams.
We're going to look at the table and kind of pick 3 teams. And the second team we've picked is Burnley.
Yes. Everybody forgets about Burnley.
Yeah, big time, man. It's because they've been around for a long time, and a lot of that is down to Sean Dyche.
Yes.
The most beautiful of men.
My favourite gruff manager on the block.
Well, if you could pick one person whose voice you won't want to hear in the dark,
it'd be amazing.
Don't be scared.
It's all right, love. I'm here.
He could say anything as a way of trying to be caring. It'd be sinister.
Yeah. He won me over in an interview where he said at Millwall they used to weigh heads. I mean, this is the kind of mental picture I get of Sean Dyche, that in order to sign a player, he first weighs their head and sees how big they are.
It's why Phil Bardsley's been in that squad deservingly for a number of years.
Yes.
Because he's got a dead heavy head.
Yeah, and he wears black boots.
He wears black boots, and he tucks his shirt in, and his socks are high, and he always turns up on time. Yep. Everything. He's a role model for everyone.
But I mean, to be fair to Sean, he was looking at leaving last summer. And I fear that he's stayed too long
because he cares for the club. Obviously.
He hasn't been backed in the summer.
No, the big thing because the job that people underestimate the job he has done at that club, because that squad, the majority of it is a championship squad.
I believe, and if I'm wrong, you're welcome to correct me, but I believe they are the poorest team in the league currently.
Yeah, the bottom of the league,
and they're bottom.
They've not won.
No, they are yet to win a game. I mean, that's not good. I mean, we're 6 or 7 games in now. I think they've played 6.
Yeah, teams of them have played 7.
Yeah, it's that the table's starting to take shape. Sure, it's early days yet, but if they carry on for the next 3 games in this kind of form, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree completely. If you look at that squad, I mean, they've got Pope in goal. I mean, Pope's solid, but then you're looking at the centre backs positions. If Ben Mee or Tarkowski's out, you're looking at Long. I mean, Long is I wouldn't sign him for FIFA if I was a Championship side,
No.
and the depth is so poor, and the first team's not a great level. It's a testament to his management. They needed to really sign a few players and it's about momentum for me. You bring in a few players, don't change the philosophy or the spine of your squad, just a few players, and it just brings the level up a tiny bit. And they've not done that, and now finally they're being punished for it. And I agree with you. I don't think it's fair that Sean is probably going to lose his job for it. But then again, if they go down, he's going to get them back up. So
my concern is that Burnley will be this year's Bournemouth.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they should. I don't know how they've not been Bournemouth this year, for so.
I think that's a testament to Sean Dyche. As much as I take the mickey out of him.
I don't think it's a mickey. It's an appreciation that we're not that strong a man.
He's just amazing. I mean, I imagine he just drinks gravy in the morning.
He just goes to the tip and drinks gravy and shouts, "Look at me! Look how much of a man I am!"
But I think it just shows his managerial prowess that he's able to keep them up with the minimal resources he's had until now. I feel in the next couple of years he's going to end up at a club like Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I think he's the perfect replacement for Roy, because obviously Roy's...
there's talk of him retiring at the end of this season.
Oh, Roy? What, that young
poor
little,
old boy.
That young little spring kipper. He's got years left in me. I mean, every day's a success for Roy. He's just take it every day.
I love him, because at the end of each interview he just looks so happy to be there.
I've said to you before, I love it when he takes the knee, because he never looks like he's going to get back up.
Yeah.
I love that so much. But yeah, we don't want to go too deeply into Palace, but I agree. I think that's his level, and with backing, I think he can become a really good Premier League manager. He's a really good Premier League manager.
Phil Bardsley straight in.
I mean, when he eventually retires at 48, you can get him in the coaching staff.
Yeah, he'll be straight in the coaching staff.
He'd be like a bulldog on a chain in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Just fucking staring at people. That's what Man United should have with Keane. Just get him in the changing room staring at people. I say
with the United situation, just wheel in Roy Keane like Hannibal Lecter.
Take this monster back to Ireland. I really
just growling and biting people.
Yeah. Just take this monster back. So what's our final team, Ryan?
Our final team is Everton.
You see, now Everton, like you mentioned it a few moments ago when we was talking about United. They've lost the last 2 games. I mean, you kind of put that down to losing Digne and Richarlison.
I feel that without Digne, Richarlison, and James Rodriguez, again, they lack depth. And you'll notice throughout the teams in the Premier League, not a lot of them have depth.
No.
But I think Ancelotti's prowess as a manager, he's a class manager.
Yeah, big time. I think what he's done to Calvert-Lewin, even in the short space of time...
He's turned him into a world beater.
Yeah, I never rated him, man. When he's coming through the youth...
I thought he was crap.
Yeah, I didn't see that, because obviously his heading ability in particular is one of his strengths, and I just didn't see it. I always thought he was smaller than what he is, because he just didn't have that... I think because he didn't come on the pitch and he didn't own it. He didn't look like that sort of player, but Ancelotti's really been able to bring... And
transformed him.
Yeah, big time, man. And them signings are pivotal. They're the key. You put them... Imagine if... I mean, Roger, I was about to say, imagine if you put them in United squad, but I think Fernandes wouldn't be happy.
Ruined.
Yeah, I mean, Arran in particular should have gone to United because it's that player where all he does is he's such a great signing. Yeah, he just sits, but he ties everything together. He's the integral part of the chemistry of how the team work and are able to put things together. I mean, I think it's a good test for Everton, the fact the last 2 games, because you need this and you're better having these tests early on because Ancelotti can learn where his deficiencies are and how to mask them. And I think going into United at the weekend, it's a great opportunity for Ancelotti to tactically defeat Solskjaer, which I think they both got their deficiencies. I think Ancelotti's more capable of coming out of that, and hopefully that will give them the kickstart they need.
Yeah, I think Ancelotti's always been that kind of guy. Everywhere he goes, he wins trophies. It's a real coup for Everton to be able to just get him in.
Yeah, I think everyone talks about him as this man manager, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason James wanted to go to Everton.
Well, this is it. I believe that James Rodriguez didn't even know Everton existed.
Ancelotti probably said to him, I'm in Liverpool now, and he's like, all right, I'll come over, and then they saw Goodison Park. I mean, I love Everton. I think Everton are a class side, because of the history and just the general vibe of the club. I think and hopefully Ancelotti can give them kickstart. We're going to do our predictions after this, and so we'll touch on obviously that side of things. But I think it'll be a good season for Everton.
Yeah,
this is a good test. A good test.
Well, it's going to be an interesting fixture at the weekend because both teams need to win.
Oh, class game! This is why the Premier League's awesome, man. Yeah. You put most games. There's something there that's worth watching. Man United Everton's
it's going to be a good one. Either that or it'll be the most boring game.
Yeah, it'll be crap now. We've said it's going to be good. That's how things work in life. We've got that there, the magic.
All right, going into Premier League predictions, because you've got to do Premier League predictions.
It's the first show, man. We've got everybody's done it.
Yeah,
but we're gonna smash.
I'm gonna come in with some heavy predictions here.
Yeah. This is where our the full-time vibe is different because Ryan likes to drop all the bombshells all the time.
I'm going to do some outrageous predictions that people will go, "You're insane." But if I'm right, then you got to eat humble pie, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. Right, so we're going to go from.
We're going to start from the bottom and we're going to work our way up, aren't we?
Awesome, yes.
Who do you have at 20th? Because I think we're going to have the same team.
Just to point out, we've not written these down yet.
No.
Because we wanted it to be something where it's
organic.
It's literally organic.
We're doing
impulsive,
it on the fly.
Yeah. And like we say, we want it to be that it's two blokes sat on the sofa, having a natter. So we want it to be completely organic. So yeah, I'm looking at the table now. At the start of the season, I really thought West Brom and Fulham were going to struggle.
Yes.
And I thought West Ham would be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Personally I was just very surprised that Sheffield United are where they are.
Yes,
I think people weren't prepared for that at all. I thought they'd struggle because it's second season syndrome.
Yes,
but I didn't expect them to be this bad. They're currently the
19th.
Yeah, the part of the 3 teams that haven't won a game yet, along with West Brom and Burnley. I'm gonna put West Brom bottom. The games I've watched of them, I really like Slaven Bilic. I think he's.
I know, I love him.
Yeah, I really like him, man. I think I'd happily have him at my club. I like the way he comes across. He's very honest and upfront.
Have you heard what he does before teams go out?
He spits on the players, doesn't he? Is that not it?
No,
is that
in
not it?
disgust, he goes, "You shit."
Just says every one of their name and their number and spits on it.
Yeah. No, apparently he's a big metal fan.
Oh yeah.
And apparently he, before he goes out, he did this at West Ham and such. He plays Megadeth.
Oh, that's sick.
And like thrash metal music.
But imagine
to
Pete
get them
Sells, but who's buying that?
Yeah. And he's going, "Get out there and win." I don't know why he's like.
Yeah, sure does. He's cockney as hell.
He's Barry Fry. Yeah. Get out there and win.
I'll pay you good money to go out there and perform.
Yeah.
So I mean, he probably needs to maybe go a bit heavier, maybe go Testament, maybe go Slayer, because obviously at the minute Annihilator maybe, because at the minute Megadeth's not working.
No, it's not doing the job.
Because they're looking rough. I mean, they've got the guy they got up front. I think is it Reed from Huddersfield.
Jesus.
This is it. So the signings and the level of quality is not good. They signed that young player from West Ham. I think it's Diorama or someone like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it needs West Ham fans were livid that they sold him because he was actually a really good prospect, and he looks good. Yeah, West Brom's not a club where I'd feel like, no disrespect to West Brom fans, but I just feel because they're constantly the yo-yoing, it's very difficult for a youth player to go in there and actually sort of progress. So yeah, I'm gonna have West Brom bottom.
Yeah, I've said the same. I'm gonna say West Brom as well.
Sorry, baggies.
Sorry,
baggies.
I love Slavan, but I just don't think that they've got the quality. Yeah,
they'll yo-yo, and I think they'll be down. Have you got 19th?
19th. Ugh, dearie me. I'm saying Fulham because I believe again that. In many ways they're quite similar to West Brom. They're becoming a yo-yo club.
Yeah.
I don't think Scott Parker's still there.
Yeah, Scott Parker.
Again, like I don't think he's got the experience.
He's beautiful though, isn't he?
He'll get sacked.
Yeah, I know, but if he does get sacked, he'll be able to get a job in them Sainsbury's adverts at Christmas.
He'll be straight in at the Sainsbury's advert.
Whether in World War One.
Yeah.
It'll be him in Mark Noble, and he retires, he'll be in there as well. You know, he's a proper English, gent.
He does look like something from 1970.
He does. He looks. He's ever so smartly dressed, and he's done all right at Fulham.
Yes, I think he's a championship manager.
At the minute, he's not got the experience. He's different than Arteta and Lampard's of this world. Even though I do think they've been given an opportunity very early on, I think that's the nature of football at the minute, and it's good because it gives these big clubs time to develop. I don't see Scott Parker as that character yet, but he's done well. He got them up. It's not a bad squad.
No, they're not. They're not the worst squad, but I don't.
It's a championship squad.
Yeah, though. I don't think that they're a Premier League squad, and I think weirdly, I don't. It wasn't a long time ago that they were in the Premier League. I don't think that they really improved the squad since.
No, I agree. I mean, there's players in there. I mean, Mitrovic is, for me, is a yo-yo striker. He's a great striker, great championship striker, but he's a yo-yo striker. I don't think when he goes down, Premier League teams will be looking at him and be thinking to pick him up. They've got Bobby Reid, who's signed from Bristol. He's all right, but again, he's a younger player and he's a championship player that needs time in that championship level before coming up. And I think when he does come up, it'll be a while before he integrates into a first team of a Premier League squad. I agree. I mean, I'm probably gonna have them second as well from bottom.
Those two feel like the easiest two to predict.
Yeah, it's weird that we've both gone the same. I mean, overall for me, I just see West Brom as being close to the bottom because I've not seen that fight from them. Fulham have won a game. They've got a little bit more fight in them, but I think when push comes to shove at the bottom end of the season, they haven't got the depth. A couple of them players get injured. I really worry for Fulham.
Well, this is it,
Never mind
as
West
it stands now, I don't think they've got a squad that's good enough to keep them up. No. Imagine if they get injuries on top of that.
It's different as well because like when Norwich were fighting it last season, I felt more positivity for Norwich.
Yeah.
I felt like the squad players like Buendia, Todd Cantwell. I mean, Pukki obviously was a surprise, but he still put the goals in. There was a lot of bright spots. I'm amazed more Premier League clubs haven't picked these players up.
Yes, I'm surprised about Cantwell.
Yeah, I'm all over them on FIFA, man. I'm Buendia particularly. For the likes of United, City, these are players that could have been great squad players and they weren't picked up. Whereas I don't look at Fulham and see that.
No,
I don't see them sparks. I think there's these are this a Championship squad, and if they do stay up, it'll be based purely on fight and spirit. Or they could bring people in January. It's difficult to know what they need or at this point or who's available, but
it might change if they change the manager.
Yeah,
if they went and fetched, I'm not sure, somebody like a Sam Allardyce.
Yeah,
but probably not him, but somebody in that vein.
I know what you mean, somebody that you know is going to keep
a relegation battling manager that's going to keep them up. Maybe.
It depends what you want for the club, really. Because my only problem, if you bring in that, I agree with you. I'm not saying they should bring in that, but they probably will. The only problem with putting the Band-Aid on, it means that the season after that, you've got to stay with that same manager. Yeah, same problem. And whereas if you keep Scotty Parker, you go down, you've got time then to build a squad, an actual team of individuals that you can. And the players that have had the experience in the Premier League will go down, and they've still got it. And I think that's the key. Is if they've had a year in the Premier League, let them go down, have another year in the Championship, and get closer together, build a better identity, come back up, and maybe then they might have the longevity they need to stay up. Who have you got in 18th then?
18th. See, it's already getting tough already. But first controversial one.
Oh, Here we go. Wind it up.
And it's because of the start that they've had, and I don't want them to go down.
Don't say it.
It's Sheffield United.
Oh, I thought you could say Burnley.
No.
Bollocks to Sheffield United.
I
top 8 Burnley. Here we go.
Yeah, prediction Burnley number 1. Done.
Quick turnaround.
Sheffield United. They've had such a horrendous start to the year. Again, yet to win a game. I feel they've been completely found out as a team. Like, just every other team knows how to play them now, and they haven't really adapted to that. And I think that's going to result in them just collapsing. I think they're going to go straight down.
It's incredible how the difference between how they were viewed last season and how they are now. I mean, last season I constantly reinforced that the reason why they were such a good squad was because they'd had so many years with the same manager, the same players pretty much, and they knew how to play for each other. And I think that's the key to surviving in the Premier League. But obviously that's been shat on for me this year because they've just not been able to cope. Do you reckon it's the lack of additions? Because it doesn't seem like they've signed anyone.
I think the problem is that they didn't go out in the summer and go and get I feel they needed a flat-out goal scorer.
Yeah.
If they'd have gone and got somebody like Callum Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, Callum Wilson's done really well at Newcastle.
Somebody that can guarantee you goals.
Because you look at the front line now, they're still knocking out McBurney. I mean, I don't mind McBurney, but is he a Premier League striker? David McGoldrick's still there. Lee Smuzet. These are good Championship strikers, but not. For a team that finished where they did last season...
I think they did incredible last season.
Merit to Chris Wilder. And I do like him. He's very honest. He'll come out in the press and he'll express the things that he thinks has gone wrong. Why this... I went, Roy then? Think to have gone wrong. My arthritis. He's very honest about what the problems they've got. And I feel for him. If they go down, I'd keep Chris Wilder 100%.
Oh, yeah. I just think that they needed that guy that's going to guarantee you at least 10, 15 goals.
Yeah, because that gets you that mid-table thing, and that's probably why Newcastle will do better this season than they did last season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a difficult one for me because I'm looking at if we go up the table, and there's teams that I thought would be there who I've watched this season and have actually played good football. I like Brighton, man. I really believe in Potter. I really believe in Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. He's going to do it. I really believe in Potter. I think there's a really good energy. I mean, I was really surprised at the 16th. I know it's early days still, but I thought they'd played when they played Chelsea. Was it Chelsea? Yeah, when they played Chelsea and they lost 2-1, I thought they played some really good football. You know, I was really disappointed that they didn't get more from that, you know, because I think they've got the potential to do more than where they currently are. I mean, they've had a lot of the big teams at the start of the season, so it might be that in some respect, you know. So yeah, I'm going to have to go the same as you, Sheffield United. So our bottom three is the same then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all the same so far.
Yeah, completely. West Brom at the bottom, Fulham at 19th, and then Sheffield United at 18th.
17th.
The one team that's going to survive.
Just
by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah. See, this is where it begins to get harder, doesn't it? I am saying another slightly controversial one.
Oh, here we go.
Burnley.
Why would you do this? Why would you do this to Sean?
He's shedding a tear now.
You still got him surviving.
Yes, I believe that if they stick with Sean Dyche.
I agree. I think that's the key. I think they'll go down.
If they bin him off, they're down.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that he's got enough in him to tactically shut up shop, make it very difficult for opponents and get some points. And I think he'll just about scrape it. But if he does, he's got to leave. Because I do not believe that Burnley are going to back him.
No. And I think that, for me, Sean, this is where he needs to show strength in his character as a manager at the end of the season if they do survive and if they do stay with him, is by saying, do you know what, you didn't back me, I'm now going to go. Because I reckon if Roy retires, I mean, if you're Sean Dyche's agent or Sean Dyche himself, you approach Palace, you say, look, Roy's only
I honestly
so
feel
far.
that he's, every morning, Sean Dyche is just tapping on the window now.
All Sean needs to do is just creep up behind Roy and just start
give him a fright.
And then the job
or just say to him, hey, it's a long way up those stairs, isn't it?
It's quite a long way. That's how Roy Hodgson sounds.
It'd be a terrible shame if you were to fall down these stairs, wouldn't it?
Imagine Roy looking up at him with his eyes at this point. Sean looking down.
Please don't throw me down the stairs, Sean.
I'm gonna drop an even bigger bombshell.
Really?
I can't believe I'm doing this.
How big are we going?
I'm gonna take Sheffield out of 18th.
Oh.
I'm gonna put them 17th,
right.
And I'm gonna put Burnley 18th because I think Burnley will sack Sean Dyche,
right.
And that'll be their undoing. I really think that because I just feel that the club itself and the structure that's the hierarchy have not backed him, which already showcases that they've mismanaged the summer and the structure around that. So I just think they'll mismanage the entire situation, and I think they'll worry so much about going down that which is hilarious because when they went to the Championship, they brought in Eddie Howe and he cocked up, went back to Bournemouth, and they had to bring Sean Dyche in to take them up. So it sums it all up. If they go down, they'll probably hire Eddie Howe again because he's not going anywhere
probably
else.
the same problem.
Yeah. And so do you know what? As a kind of a bit of a middle finger to the hierarchy at Burnley, I'm going to take Sheffield United out because Sheffield United they've got something. Chris Wilder is as long as they stick with Chris Wilder, which I think they will, because if they go down, because they've got that thing now where he's been with them a few years.
Yeah.
There's a structure in place. You know, he's got a real squad that I think plays for him. I know they've struggled, but I think they play for him. And I truly believe as long as they stick with him, Sheffield United should stay up.
I believe that between 17th and 18th this year, there will literally be 3 or 4 points.
I agree, 100%. I think that them two, Fulham and West Brom, will go. I think they'll have gone, but towards the end. But then, like you say, them couple of places all really contested. And like I say, it could be that Sheffield and Burnley, you know, it's more, but it could be more signed off than that. You know, Sheffield could be long gone, Burnley could be long gone. You know, none of us really know.
I just have a feeling that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like I say, I've put Burnley in 18th. I'm going to have Sheffield to stay up.
Bold calls already.
Yeah, I went straight in there. I got excited by my own bombshellness. I'm dropping that bombshell hard, man. Right, so 16th.
Well, we were going to say make the calls for 16th, 15th and 14th next.
Smash for it. I'm cool with that.
I'm saying for those, I'm just looking at the tables now. It's hard, isn't it? It's getting really hard now. I'm saying Brighton in 16th. I'm saying West Ham in 15th, and in 14th, I'm saying Newcastle.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't feel any sort of underlying aggressive emotions towards that. I'm not going to flip the table.
Just angrily run off
with my arms behind my back.
In a fit of rage.
Yeah. I can't believe he put Brighton there, not Potter. Right, so you got Brighton. What was it? Brighton, West Ham, and Newcastle in that order.
West Ham, and Newcastle in that order.
Right, quickly give me a summary of why you've come to that conclusion.
I believe Brighton, they have a lack of depth. On the bench, they have the likes of Danny Welbeck and Adam Lallana, who are notoriously injury prone.
I don't rate Welbeck as a sign. Lallana's been playing, he's not been too bad, but Welbeck's rough, man.
I think Lallana's always going to get injured at some point. He had this problem at Liverpool. Again, I think Potter's a decent manager, but I don't think that they've got the quality to go any higher than that position.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year. Mm. If they have a solid summer, maybe they'll push on a bit further. But I think the likes of Newcastle currently and Palace are just better.
I like Newcastle in 15th. I think that's a solid shout. Yeah. I struggle. Is it 15th or 4th? Oh, yeah, 15th.
I said Newcastle in 15th.
Okay, cool. And then you got Brighton, Newcastle, and then you have West Ham as the one. Yeah, cool. I struggle to argue with that. I mean, there's been positives though. We've both expressed there's positives with Newcastle's start and the signings they've made, because Callum Wilson for me is the ultimate lower table Premier League side striking option. I'm amazed more clubs might have gone in for him. I think him and Fraser have played together for a number of years at Bournemouth.
Yep, I think West Ham and Newcastle could be interchangeable.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
14th, 15th you could potentially swap those round. But I think that's pretty much where they're going to be, in my opinion. What do you reckon?
So I'm going to have 16th. I'm going to have West Ham. Mm-hmm. Do you know what? I actually think I'm surprised by how much Moyes has made them look
he's
like a team.
Manager.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm pleased for him because I think he's had so many difficult jobs. Obviously, United, then Sunderland, then he pissed off to Spain for some reason. You know, I mean, he's never going to deal with that. The sunlight alone. I mean, Moyes looks like he was made of stone, man. You know, every morning he just breaks out. He looks like the trolls in The Hobbit. And the main reason I put them there, similar to maybe Burnley in the relegation zone, was I think the hierarchy at West Ham is despicable. You know, I think the selling off the youth player that we spoke about earlier to West Brom, and I think Mark Noble came out on Twitter and said how much of a poor decision it was.
A few players came out.
When you've got senior members of the squad coming out and ousting the hierarchy for their poor management of the team, I just think that's a negative environment. But it's a positive to Moyes that he's been able to get good things out of that. I mean, the fact that Antonio is still carrying them is a worry for me. You know, the team itself is not strong. Yeah. And I think they'll finish about 16th. 15th, I'm gonna have Palace.
Really?
Yeah, I like the additions. I think they've done the right things this summer. I just think that it'll be the season when because they've made additions, I think that'll be their undoing. You've now got to integrate new players into that squad. Not many, but you've got to integrate players into that squad. And I just think this is probably the point where Royal...
What, the tipping point?
Yeah, it would just... not in a negative or any way. No. I think another season they've stayed up. I don't think it'll be even though they're around that position, I don't think it'll be a scrap. I think it'll be more that in the last few games of the season, they're just a little bit. Yeah, they're just slipping and they're just falling around that. You know, I imagine West Ham and Sheffield will be much more in trouble around the relegation zone. I don't think Palace will be that bad. And then my hope is then obviously that Roy steps down and then someone like Sean Dyche comes into Palace. A lot more young players, a bit more backing, and can move them towards the top 10. In terms of 14th, so I've got West Ham, Palace. I'm probably then looking at Newcastle.
Yeah, so we're pretty much bar Palace. Correct?
Yeah, man.
Pretty much.
We're on the same similar, page. Yeah. Like my problem with Newcastle is Steve Bruce. Poor
old Steve.
Oh, he's so lovely. Yeah. He's ever so softly spoken. Wenger.
I know.
He's ever so soft.
I think he's great.
Yeah, his mum loves him, you know.
Oh,
She thinks he's such because she can ring him up any time during the day and he'll always come over.
See, I imagine Steve lives above a fish and chip shop.
And people say, Steve, why don't you move, man? Like, you know, well, I like it because I can get this fish and chips.
Yeah.
You know,
he can just go down. He's got like a lifetime subscription. He can go down whenever he wants.
He likes the smell that comes up into his bedroom.
He leaves the window open in the morning just so he can get a waft of chips.
Yeah, he's a very simple man, Steve. You know, he's. I think, in all respect, though, he has. I think he's managed a really difficult job when he came in well.
Yes.
Because obviously, you know, Joel Linton.
Everybody said Newcastle dead and buried.
Dead and buried. It's what nobody believes in Steve. No. Do you know what I mean? If you called the emergency services and Steve rocked up, say if he's been trained as a copper and Steve rocked up and he went, oh, what's been happening?
I would love to see Steve Bruce as a member of the fire brigade, flying down that pole.
I don't want to go down the pole. It's very high.
He'll take the stairs.
He'll take the stairs. Yeah, he's a very lovely bloke. I assume he's a lovely bloke. He might be a bastard behind the scenes, but I'd be shocked.
I can't imagine it.
No, I think but he's handled a very difficult job because of the pressure of being.
This is a club that wants to be. You know, Mike Ashley's trying to get him sold, and he's somehow, getting. Or sure, they're not entertaining per se. I mean, they've got a few bright sparks in there, like St. Maximum, but other than that, they're not the most entertaining club around, but he gets the results.
Yeah, I think he'll keep him up. I just think they'll. I mean, where's it end?
Yes.
You know what I mean? The club of that size with that
it's going to be the same thing every year.
And the signings are great, but they don't move the club forward. They just maintain.
Yeah.
But these are the signings you need to make, otherwise you end up like Sheffield United, Burnley.
Yeah.
You know, you need to make these signings that just keep you where you are and are positive members of the squad. Callum Wilson's very impressive, and this is where people underestimate him, including myself. Is Steve Bruce has set that side up very well tactically, so everything just goes towards Callum Wilson. They're putting Aaron Lewis on the left back from Norwich, and he's great at cutting down the wing because he's got pace and he's got a great cross on him, and he pops them on Callum Wilson's head. I mean, I like Andy Carroll. I've always liked Andy Carroll. It's just a shame about his fitness. Yeah. I think it's a shame because he would have been a massive asset for England if he'd have kept at that high level, because he's like a human horse. You know, I think European countries would have struggled with bringing him on. And he's got long hair, and so obviously I'm going to like him. My FIFA team's basically made up of lads with long hair.
Beards, long hair.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we look like an audition room for the next Megadeth guitarist. You know, I think that's this podcast at the minute is sponsored by Megadeth. You know, Slam Village and everyone. But yeah, I think they'll be 14th. Do you know the owners who went in to buy Newcastle are currently having discussions to buy Derby?
Really?
Yeah, and they've been the EFL. Apparently have done a investigation into whether they're
that's
reliable.
A bit of a drop down, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, they probably look at it and Rooney in it. You know, Rooney's still at the club, and that's a bit of a pull.
It feels like there's so much more work to do there.
Oh, big time. The squad's crap. Me and my mate Jake watched the game they were a couple of days ago, and the squad's come down so many, because for so long they had a top championship squad, you know, for their level, and it's just looked crap now. It looks really poor apart from Rooney. But yeah, it might be the Rooney factor or what, but the EFL have said that everything's in order for them to take over a club, but the Premier League haven't.
Wow.
When they went for Newcastle, so that's going to create problems in terms of the EFL's process compared to the Premier League's. Because for me, the whole pyramid needs to be the same. This is where it goes wrong. You can't be making exemptions in the Championship that you're not making in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, so I think the takeover would have done him some good, but Bruce wouldn't have survived the takeover. He'd have been the Mark Hughes, Mark Hughes was like for City. You know, he'd have just guided them. So yeah, I've got them 14th. So do you want to do 13th, 12th, and 11th with the same process?
Cool. Yeah, we'll do the same thing.
So talk to me. What's yours?
I'm saying. Getting harder now. I'm saying 13th Southampton. Big call.
Fifth,
considering their
fifth
start.
At the minute, man.
They're sat at 5th, but come on, it's only 7 games. I believe that they're gonna get caught out eventually, because there's teams like Leeds who are just better. I still believe that Palace are better. You know, there's just other teams that I think are just going to sit above them.
Yeah, that's fair.
12th, I'm saying... I'm doing this off the cuff as well.
You're doing well. You're doing really well. I mean, I can write. This is why I said to write.
So you're getting time to just fill these in.
I got your back. You go first. I don't mind sitting in the wings writing down my
12th, I'm saying Aston Villa.
Yeah, I reckon that's fair. Yeah.
I think they're going to have a good season. And 11th, this is where it starts to get difficult. Pretty difficult. I'm saying Crystal Palace.
It's a good season for Palace.
Yeah.
Fucking smash him, man, for Roy. I mean, you'd have to keep him in the job after that. I mean, he's probably blind at this point.
They're literally just wheeling him onto the pitch at this point.
But he's got up to 11th.
I think he's going to have a solid year, and he's going to say thank you very much and good night.
It'd be a great way for him to sign off, because honestly, the job he's done is class. Yeah. Like he's really took the piss out of, because Palace were going through this period where they tried to get in Frank de Boer?
Yes.
And he survived like the shortest number of games possible for a Premier League manager, and they tried to go through this thing of reinventing the club, and all they needed was Roy's warm embrace just to stabilise. And you build the squad, you get it to a level, and then you bring in a manager that's going to take it forward. And I'd love them to finish 11th. I think the way you've got them there, I wouldn't be.
I think it's just they brought in that Eze. He's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think Wilfried Zaha's obviously great. I think defensively there's questions, but
they're good workers though.
Yes.
They're solid lads.
I think on the whole they're good enough to just push for it. And again, I think there's only going to be a few points between 14th and 11th.
Yeah, I agree. I think that whole bottom half will be sort of tied together, and minus maybe the bottom five. I think the bottom five will have a scramble, and then the rest of them will just be joined together. So mine are 13th. I've finally put Brighton in.
Oh,
I
that's
think,
not bad.
I think Brighton will scrap, man, because they're trying to play They're trying to play good football. So that comes with its challenges when you're in the Premier League, because teams will always try and go at you, and once you're down at the bottom, it's very hard to play that style of football. Yeah. But I believe in Potter. They've got some great young players. They've got that young right back who got rejected by Chelsea. Name goes from me now. They've got Mapai up front. They've got a good squad, man. I believe in Brighton, and I think, like you say, if they sign well, if they can stay up this season, sign well next year, next summer, I think it'll be a good building blocks for them. I really believe in them as a club. Them and Villa, I think, and Leeds, I think, are great young clubs for the Premier League.
Maybe.
After that, I've got Leeds.
Oh,
so I've got Leeds in 12.
Yeah.
I mean, we as soon as it started and we were doing our sofa chat that was not recorded, we always said Leeds would be sort of 10th, 11th. Yeah, I think that Bielsa's it's similar to Sheffield United. I think they've got a team rather than a squad. It's a team where people know what their jobs are. You've got Luke Ayling, great squad player at right back. I think he's captain. Then you've got Phillips, CDM sits in front of the defence. You've got Harrison on the wing, got a bit of that. And Bamford, man. Bamford's been... Like, so many people thought he wasn't ready for the Premier League. Yeah, I thought he was crap. I thought he'd be straight back down, because he's just a bit of a journeyman of the lower league at this point. But he's really stepped up, and I'm glad that Bielsa's believed in him. Because obviously the bought in Rodrigo, who's a bit of a coup signing, but he believes in Bamford. And I love that. And I think that as long as they buy well next summer and just build on what they've got, I think they could be a real mainstay for a couple of years. And then 11th, you prepared? You prepared for this?
Yeah, go on.
I've got United.
11th?
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is criminal. 11th? Why do you think Ollie's going to remain there to the end of the year? That's where they're ending up.
Maybe.
That could be... If they were to finish 11th, I believe that since the Premier League has existed, that would be their worst ever finish.
I tell you why I'm putting them there, is because I'm putting them on par with Arsenal, and Arsenal finished 10th. I believe last year. I think that Arsenal.
Well, you just think that the teams above are just better.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a fair shout.
I mean, I didn't put it with that sort of conviction, but since you've said it as the United fan, I genuinely believe that statement is true. I think the teams above United that I've got, reasonably planned in my head, are better squads than United's. Better teams. Squad's the wrong word. Better teams. I genuinely believe that.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I think that's. Oh Jesus! I don't think that 11th is where they're going to end up. I think that in reality they're going to be a bit higher than that.
Yeah, do you know what? I just feel like,
because I believe they're going to have the bounce of Pochettino.
Yeah, I mean it'd have to be a big bounce. I mean it's early on in this. It's early on in this. Oh no, I'm regretting it now.
Wait, it's set in stone.
Set in stone.
You've written it down. I've just seen it.
What we'll have to do is at the end of the season we'll have to keep this. And we'll have to look back.
Roy Keane has just turned around and had a fit randomly.
Do you know what,
the concept of finishing 11th.
I'd like to think I've got a bit of confidence that I can have a drink, I'll chat to big blokes in the pub, I'd really struggle to tell Roy Keane face to face that I think
Imagine Roy Keane sat opposite from you right now and you go, I think United finishing 11th. He'll launch across the table and just kill you.
I imagine him flying and going towards me and strangling.
Like Dracula.
I'd go, exactly. I mean, like Dracula, I'd go up to him, I'd go, Roy. I'd just poke him with my pen, I'd go, Roy. And he'd like, I've put Man United to finish 11th. And then he'd wake up, and then I'd run it, but he'd be chasing the van, and he'd be side by side with the van.
Like the Terminator.
Yeah, 100% like the Terminator. He's an Irish Terminator, which should not have been rejected as one of the Terminator films because it had been class. He's terrifying. He'd look at me, and he'd be running side by side, and then his head would just turn like that, like a robot, and I'd think, oh shit, Keane's got me here. Yeah. But it's in stone. United 11th.
Wow.
I personally don't think that I'm really regretting it, but it's happened now. So
that's it. At the end of the year, we're going to look back at these as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be.
It's happened now.
I'm going to pull you up on that one at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
10th.
Right, let me go for this one because we've been going back and forth, and it's not fair on you. Because I'm going to put Villa.
Okay.
Yeah. I think 10th is a brilliant result for Villa, and I think there's something about them. As soon as the season started, do you know what? Actually, the last game of last season when they stayed up, and everyone ran over to Dean Smith, and there was just this unity there. Even though they'd had a really difficult first season, the fact they were all together and the manager was at the core of that, I think sowed the seeds for their success for this year. They've made additions where they've needed them. They've did similar. All you need just a few players, and one of the best signings they've made is just giving Grealish that contract.
Oh yes.
Him
and Ross Barkley.
Oh yeah, Ross as well. Class signing, man, class. Because what you've done with Ross is you've put him as the big fish in a small pond. Yeah. And what Ross does is it allows Grealish to have the freedom to basically just run around. But this is what he does. He draws players away and he gets into positions. He's such a great dribbler, but he's ferocious as well. Villa are such. I really have quite
I would like them to finish a bit higher than my prediction of 12.
Yeah,
but I can't see it.
I think the problem is that I think 10th is complementary to him. Yes, I really do. But at the same time, they're one of my favourite clubs that are in the Premier League. Because the history about them as well. They're like the AC/DC of football. But AC/DC are a bit bigger than that. Maybe not Motorhead because that's got to be Burnley, hasn't it? Maybe the Uriah Heep of football. Because
I'm saying they're like the Anvil.
The Anvil. Well, no, if you're the Anvil, you're fucking Grimsby, aren't you?
No, because I'm saying, right, they're like the Anvil because they're the team that everybody wants to succeed, but they're just not. They're not quite getting there.
Yeah, but and maybe this season's when the film came out and they started to pull the trees.
It's like the little turning point.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good metaphor, man.
Yeah, you
set him up and now he's taking all the plaudits.
Just stealing that one from
he took that straight out of my pocket. Who have you got in 10th, man?
10th, I'm saying straight in the middle, Leeds United.
You said this at the start of the year, didn't you?
And I stick by that one.
Yeah, I think that's solid gold.
I think Bielsa's great, but he's got to stop sitting on that box.
I like the box, man.
He's triggering me on that.
Do you know in his box he's just another one of his heads?
He turns.
It's like Walking Dead.
He turns up, right, in a bloody tracksuit and he sits on a box. What kind of Premier League manager are you? I'm sorry.
But he's a character, though. I like that. I feel like he could at any point just start attacking people. And I like
throw his
that.
box.
Yeah, he throw his box and then reveal his other head. And his head would snap at people's ankles. But in all seriousness, though, I think Temps.
Yeah.
Great first season for him.
Yeah, I think
they look good.
They look good, and I think that they won't push any higher because the teams above them have just got more of an established squad.
They're starting to be tested a little bit more now because they lost the last game, won the one before that, drew, and then had a couple of losses. So they're starting to. I think they're finding their feet in the Premier League, but they've definitely shown. I love the fact they've not changed the way they've played.
Yeah, they've stuck the flag in the ground, haven't they?
I love that. You know, I think the fact that they're willing to, maybe they're the AC/DC. They've not changed anything. They've gone in. I mean, but they're not flamboyant enough, are they?
No, they haven't quite. AC/DC
need to be a bread and butter sort of club. They're a bit more technical than that. A bit more 80s metal, maybe.
Yes.
Than that, they've got a bit of flair. So flying back
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue, yeah. Bielsa's a right party boy when he gets off that bucket.
I can see him there with a wig on, sat on his box
on a Harley Davidson.
Yeah. Singing girls, girls, girls.
No, his translator's singing that.
Yeah, that's true.
Girls, girls, girls. And then Bielsa's like rocking out next to him. Have you got in 9th? So we're in the top 10 now. Do you want to fly through 9th, 8th, 7th in one go?
Yes. We'll say 9th, 8th and 7th. I'm saying 9th, Wolves.
Cool.
They're going to slightly slip on last year. I believe that they were a little bit higher last year.
Yes,
I believe so. It feels so long ago now.
Yeah, it does.
I believe they were somewhere around 8th. So not major progression.
They've lost Jota. Obviously, but there's my worry with Wolves. Sorry to interrupt you. Is that
it's cool.
Is that I think that they'll. I just feel they're at an integral point in terms of their Premier League journey since coming up, where there's a few members of that squad that have moved on. Obviously, while Martinho's reaching the end of his career.
That's why I think they can't be any higher than 9th.
It's an important point in the summer now. It's always is for every club, but for these clubs in particular that have now got to transition into the next part of their development. I mean, I love Nuno. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's a great manager.
Yeah, he's done wonders for them, and the Wolves fans love him. I mean, my drummer's a Wolves fan, and I think he'd be devastated if they lost Nuno. Could happen. They have a bad season. Nuno could start looking around because obviously if Chelsea don't do things, then Lampard could end up going. Do you know what? I really like the idea of Nuno at Chelsea.
That'd be a solid shot.
Yeah, because he'd suit them because he'd be able to go in there. Lots of good players. It'd be an upgrade for him. I think it'd be an upgrade for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Without going into the same process that Man United are about to go into. I mean, could Nuno go to United?
I don't think he fits that classic Man United manager style. I think Poch fits a bit more into it.
Yeah, I agree in some sense. I think he suits a team like Chelsea more.
Big question. Feels like a Chelsea manager.
Yeah, big question. If Nuno did go to Man United, step down or step up? That's a fucking great question.
Poor old Ollie.
Great question. Is it a step up or a step down for Nuno?
For Nuno?
Yeah, for Nuno. Not for Man United, for Nuno.
It's a step sideways.
You can't be giving me that.
It's about the same because I think United need work and so do Wolves. And I think it's a hard one. It's very hard. Yeah. I don't think that in their current stance that United are majorly better.
You've worded that. You've danced around that like anyone's business. But yeah, I just put you on the spot there. Really, so I can try and think about who my seventh team's gonna be.
That's the thing. What was your last one there? Sorry. We were saying 9th, weren't we?
Yeah, 987.
Yes.
987. So you've gone for Wolves at 9. Talk to me about your 8th and your 7th.
Wolves at 9th. Leicester 8th.
It's a good shout.
I think they always, particularly under Brendan, they have a good run and then they fall apart. And I think that they're due a bit later on in the year of falling apart again.
I love the fact you said a bit later in the year there because I'm going to
go.
They've had a great start.
Yeah, not right now.
Look awesome.
Second half of the year, wait for the drop, because I think that'll happen.
I'm knocking some big questions your way. Is Brendan underrated?
To a degree.
Tactically, he's done some wonder
to a
things.
degree. With the team, with Leicester is his level.
100%. It's a team that fits the way that he manages.
Yeah,
and
he's
his level.
in the right place, I think.
He needs less responsibility, and Leicester gives him that. No disrespect to Leicester, because a great club. Yeah. I really like Leicester.
If he was at a club like his old club, Liverpool, that's a big responsibility.
Well, yeah.
And I think it's just that's a bit too far for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that a club like Leicester, though, where he stands a chance of potentially in the future winning a couple of cups.
Yeah. Like for me, if I was them, I'd push them straight to the League and the FA Cup, because if they get one of them and finish top, I mean, where you got in top 8? I mean, that's sound. That is. Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that in a trophy.
No, that'd be a great year if they had a trophy and 8.
Another team, I know I've said it a few times, but they've obviously got to develop now, because they've got to try and prepare for life without Vardy, because he's still their main.
They're
main
approaching a crossroads.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go, and I hope Brendan's a part of that crossroads, because I do really like Father Brendan. You can tell him anything, Father.
Oh dear. 7th.
What's your 7th?
I'm saying Arsenal. Exactly where they were last year, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's probably about fair.
Because I think it's Project Arteta is still in the works.
Yeah.
I think they'll have a bounce and then they'll slip. And I think, overall they're going to finish around this position because, again, teams above them have just got that little bit more.
How do you think they've gone this season so far? What have you thought of them? Obviously, they beat your mob a couple of weekends back. But your mob were pretty devastating.
Yeah, it was...
Is that down to Arsenal's quality or your mob's?
There was a mixture. Arsenal essentially just compressed United. They were like, we're just going to sit here and defend. Wait for a mistake.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there was a mistake.
I mean, Arteta came out after that and said very confidently, I mean, I said it to you the other day, because I think this is where Solskjaer's gone wrong, is that he said, this is the way we play now. I believe this is the identity of... And you need a few formations, a few squads, utilise players for what they do depending on who you're playing. But this is where, for me, I think United have gone wrong. Is
like an identity.
Yeah, identity is the key word for me. I think you've got to know when you're the team in control, when you're going out at someone, how do you play when you get to choose, when you feel like you're the ones? And I think United haven't got that. I think they get so confused that Solskjaer ends up just throwing loads of stuff and sees what sticks.
Yes, I think there's a lot going on currently because it's changing per week.
Yeah, whereas Arteta seems to be more... I love the fact that they binned off players like Gordon Daisy, who they felt were bad influences. Ozil's not been named, and it's got a massive.
That was a huge call.
So do you reckon Arteta's made that call and the club have backed him? Or do you think the club have made that call and Arteta's gone with it?
I think he's made the call and the club have backed him.
I do as well. I think that Arteta's gone out and said, I don't want Gordon Daisy.
There's something that's happened with Ozil.
Same with Ozil, yeah.
Because when he first came in, he was getting a couple of opportunities. And I think there's something that's kicked off on the training ground, and he's gone. Yeah. Don't want him anywhere near this.
Yeah, and I respect that. I really do.
I mean,
that's killer.
It's an authoritarian kind of... It's like, I'm the boss. He's been around a long time, right? Guess what, mate? You're not in the team.
Yeah.
It's like we're kind of...
Everyone looks...
We're raising the standards now,
big time, man. And I like Arteta, because that is the vibe I get of him. I think he's gone in there, he's set his standard. And it's like we were saying earlier, because he's an ex player of the club, he's got now time. No other managers would have had time to finish 10th.
He's been allowed time, but he could fall into the same traps as Ollie later on, because we saw the bounce with Ollie when he came in. I feel that Arteta could easily slip into the same problems, because Arsenal aren't, I don't think I don't think there's a major difference between United and Arsenal in terms of quality.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so I think that they could have the same issues a bit further down the line.
Yeah, I think I rate Arteta more than Solskjaer.
Really?
I rate him more than Lampard.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like Arteta. I don't think he's proven that, but I just feel that he's very... A lot of football for me is about how people come across. I know that's a very anti-statistical way of looking at it. I'm sure a lot of people would really struggle with that, but I get sucked up into the romance of football, and the fact you see these people talking, and you get you and your dad sit on the sofa and say, oh, he definitely cries when he goes home, or I like that, like we do when we take the piss out of Sean and Roy. You create these characters for people, and with Arteta, I think he just comes across with great conviction. He looks like a great guy. I'd want to play for Arteta. I'd feel really, and I feel like with each game that squad is developing and growing and playing for him more. It's difficult that Aubameyang's dropped back a little bit. Hopefully his penalty that he got in the last couple of games will set him alight again. They need to make some. My worry with Arteta and Arsenal is Arsenal don't seem to have a lot of money at their disposal.
This is it, though. It's
Partey looks like a great signing, though.
Yes, looks great. Imagine if he was at United.
Yeah, go on, 100%. The player they should have signed.
Yep.
I'd been off Pogba and I'd have got Partey.
Yep.
I think he's a great addition, and if that's the beginnings of where Arsenal are going now, then it's just
if
positives.
they build on that, then yes. But that's the question mark at the minute, because I just think it's too early.
Gabriel's a good signing as well. It's good signings, man. It changes the whole vibe.
Yeah.
I feel there's a spine in that squad that's growing, and as long as they continue to build on that and trust Arteta, I think they'll do well. So that's your 987. Mine is Southampton.
Wow.
I'm going Southampton 9th, man.
That's high.
Yeah. I hate it when you look at me. I hate it when you look at me.
In 11th.
I hate it when you look at me and you're like, wow. And that's basically Ryan's way of going, well, you're fucking wrong there.
Well, you're wrong.
I like Southampton, man.
I think they're good, but
side.
I don't think they're that good.
I think Hassan Hutel for me is underrated. I think I love the fact they've stuck with him. I think it was such a good decision.
Well, they got demolished at one point.
That was it. They could have sacked him when Leicester smashed him last season, but they didn't, and they ended up having a really good end to the season. He knows how to utilise players within that squad that have, and they're not missing Højbjerg. I thought they'd miss Højbjerg, but they're not asked.
I thought they'd slip.
Yeah, I mean, Ings is obviously an integral part of that side, but Ched Adams has grown under Hassan Hutel. I thought he was very similar to the sort of players that was on about in the Fulham and the West Broms. When he came up, I thought this was a championship player who they've signed just to fill a role, but he's more than that, because Hassan Hutel started to develop him into a partnership with Ings, and that's growing every time. Ward-Prowse is now becoming a quality Premier League player.
Yes.
His free kicks count.
I was going to say set pieces are the difference.
Yes, exactly.
I believe that his set pieces will be the thing that keeps them a bit up there. I put them way down in 13th.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason being behind that is because I think that teams will just cut out Danny Ings. They will man mark him, keep him out the game, and Ward-Prowse will be the guy that they'll look to. And he'll get some set pieces against those lower status teams, and they'll score. And Danny Ings will deliver against the lower status teams.
You don't see longevity to it. Them in the top 10.
Your top teams, your Spurs, your Arsenals, you could argue maybe even United. I think
I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, apparently not. No. You
I'm
could
so
argue.
happy I put him 11. I didn't even do it to like be a twat or anything. Like, it's just genuinely where I thought it was going to be. But
you could, I just don't think that Southampton are going to push that high.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think there's quality there. I've got Wolves at 8th. I think that's a side level. I mean, where do you put Wolves?
I put them in 9th. So
yeah, I've about the same.
Pretty much the same.
I think they're a solid top 10 squad, which, considering where they were a few years ago, is fantastic. You'll be very proud. And they're a great club. I feel like they've really evolved, considering where they were when they had Buddy Mick McCarthy, for several years scrambling at the bottom of the Premier League, and the club itself just didn't have the same sort of energy around it.
Yeah.
I think they've grown into a real weapon of a club, and as long as they continue to build on that, I think they'll be great. They did well because there's obviously Jota moved on, but they didn't sell, James, what's his name, Ramirez. They didn't sell. They didn't sell Traore. I'm amazed. If I was one of the bigger clubs, if I was United, I'd have 100% gone for Traore, because I think I just think he gives you something different. When Bissaka gets injured, who's going into that position? Traore can play that, and he can play in the middle. He can play up top.
This is the one thing I was screaming for when we couldn't get Sancho. Right, go and get somebody like Traore.
Yeah, he's great. I don't know why big teams don't look at him. Same with Buendia at Norwich, Cantwell. These are players that are just great squad players. But they've kept him, and I think they've kept enough of the structure. Yeah, they've got good defence. Bolly's solid. He's a big lad. Connor Cody, vastly underrated. When he played for England, I didn't know why after he scored his first goal for like 12 years, why Southgate didn't put him in again. He's a great player. Works
because he's not a Cambridge boy. He didn't go to a tip-top university.
He didn't. No,
I feel Southgate's that kind of guy. Like
he's got players he likes. He likes Mounties.
Exactly.
He's got boys he likes. It's not a Southgate conversation, but we will probably have that at some point.
Oh, we will at some point.
And then 7th we've got Leicester. You've got them in 8th. Yeah, we're not far off, man. I've got them in 7th. I love Brendan. I really like Leicester, even though they're in the Midlands. I've never seen them as Forest's main rivals because of how much I despise Derby. I think Leicester look at Forest with a bit more hatred, but I like them. I think they're a really good club. They bring a lot of youth players through. I just think they've now got to look at a transition of moving away from Vardy. The first thing I'd do with Vardy is I'd make him a coach. I'd have him as a striking coach. They did it with Kevin Phillips when Nigel Pearson was there. I don't think he's there now, but I'd definitely do that. Keep him around the dressing room, keep him within the team, and let him work with the younger players coming through. And I'd now be planning this season for life without him. I think they've tried to do it for a number of years. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's like planning for life without Sir Alex. It's not an easy thing. But I'd make Brendan a part of that transition. So I'm going to go for 6th. I'm going Arsenal.
Wow.
So again, it's one of I'm just one above you really because you've got Arsenal in 7th.
7th.
Like I say, I mean we've already spoken quite a while about Arteta. I think he's the dude. Who have you got in 6th?
Here we go.
Vacey
bold claims are around the corner now. Like this is where it goes wild. 6th. Ready for this one?
Ready.
Bit of a mental drum roll coming in. Chelsea.
Ooh.
Wait for the Chelsea fans to go insane. But
they can't finish 6th with the money they've spent, surely.
I know. I thought at the start of the season I said they're near the top, and I was totally wrong. Because I think that they've made too many changes, and I think it's tremendously backfiring. And I think that I feel that defensively they're in for a bit of a collapse. And I think Timo Werner isn't going to fire as much as what they'd hope.
He's been good last few games.
I think they could end up resorting back to the likes of Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham. I think that these new signings aren't going to be quite what he thinks they're going to be.
They've given Werner the penalties off Jorginho, so I think he'll pick up goals because in midweek.
But this is it though. That's a telltale already. They've handed him penalties because they know he's not scoring enough.
No, I disagree. They gave him penalties because Jorginho has missed too many.
You reckon?
So, yeah, and they interviewed Lampard about it, and he said Werner now takes penalties, and I did, as much as I don't rate Lampard, I think he's got conviction. I mean, I've always said the problem with Chelsea for me and Lampard in particular is that if that team does not kick off, then
he's gone.
Yeah.
And I predict that with Chelsea finishing 6th, he gets sacked at the end of the season.
Yeah, that'd be a good time to sack him if they're going to do it.
I think that's what will happen.
Yeah, I disagree. I think I like them.
I mean, it's not as loony as putting United in 11th. So.
No, who do that? Who do that?
What mental person would do that?
But yeah, I like Chelsea, and we'll see where I've got
I think they're going to slip. Who are you saying for 6th? Here we go.
Oh, I've already said it, Arsenal.
Have you? Oh, yeah.
I've already said it. Come on, talk to me 5th.
5th, Spurs.
I think that's solid for Spurs, man. I think so. If Mourinho can get Spurs 5th, I mean, and get maybe a trophy.
I say Spurs get 5th, but I say they get something like a League Cup or an FA Cup.
Solid. You can't complain for me.
Because Mourinho always wins a trophy or something.
Yeah, he's smart, man. He backs himself up. He'll put effort into getting a trophy because he knows the other big teams won't, and it covers his arse because you can't complain.
Or they win something like, I don't know, the Europa League.
Could do.
And then they get in Europe through the back door.
Yeah, it's a great shout. I 100% think that could be an option.
Yep, that's my 5th.
I've got Everton at 5th.
Ooh,
yeah,
Everton.
No, I like him,
down
man.
A little bit there.
Yeah, I like him. I just think I think when it gets to the end of the season, that's when the big teams rise.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they've got the experience within that squad. Even the names they've brought in, James Rodriguez, Allen, they don't know what it's like to be...
True.
To have when you've been in the Premier League with how physical it is, I know it's a stereotype, but at the end of the season, they'll be knackered. They'll be really feeling it, And I think there's not enough players that will pull them through that, But they're a great squad. I love Ancelotti, and I think that overall that'll be an awesome season for Everton to finish 5th.
Yes, it would still be a good year.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. And like you say, as long as all the team are fit, as long as you've got Richarlison in there, who's come on leaps and bounds, as has Calvert-Lewin, as we spoke about when we went on when we was going through the week review. I think overall their first 11 is badass, and it's just the depth. But yeah, I still think they'll have a great season. I think 5th is spot on for them. Come on, 4th.
4th. Here we go.
I can't believe... I know what you've put, because I can see it in your eyes. I know.
Here we go.
You're rubbing your legs up, Vic Reeves.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go, son.
You can hear the carpet burn.
United. Man United.
Piss off.
Through the back door.
I ain't having that.
Right, I'm saying, right, 6th Chelsea and 5th Spurs, but I'm saying 6th, 5th and 4th, 3-4 points max between them.
Okay, so it's the last few games. Similar to last season, it's the last few games where there's a push through.
Through by the wire.
And you think the new re-energised Pochettino United...
I think a Pochettino-led Manchester United 4th.
I think that's absolutely scandalous.
Absolute salvation. Scrape it through, and then next year completely implode.
Well, I agree with you on the second part of that. I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, to be honest, I think by now everyone that's listening, and me and Ryan, know that me putting United at 11th was probably
absolute criminal.
For the first recording of a podcast. Already my worst decision I will make in the history of this show. But I got excited and I've put it.
I think United will go on a run. They'll get a bounce of the new manager, which I still don't feel quite right about, because it's Ollie, bless him. But I think that they'll scrape it, and I mean so fine, it's unbelievable.
I mean, we brought it up when I said with them in 11th. I mean, my problem with that is, I think realistically, okay, so I've put Villa 10th, Southampton 9th. For me, all the squads from 8, which I think is very similar for us from 8th to top, have got better teams than United. Wow. I think Wolves have got a better team than United. I think Leicester have got a better team. Team's the pivotal word, not squad, team. Yeah. I think Arsenal are on par. Arsenal are on par, to be fair. Everton are on par. Actually, fuck that. I think Everton have got a better squad than United.
Wow.
I think there's more players, because when you look at squads, right, I'm looking at the players that aren't the headline makers, and I think the players that aren't the headline makers in Everton's, the Keanes, the Dignays, even the Holgates, I think they're better squad players than Lindelof.
You think Holgate?
I like Holgate, man. All right, I like him. He's all right. But no, I just look at them, and I always think, well, who would I rather have in my squad? And there's a lot of players in Everton's team I'd rather have in my squad than United's. But then again, realistically, then I probably should have put United 6th or 7th. I might have cocked up a bit there, but it's in stone. We can't move it. I mean, like I say, I think top 7, top 6 is not disgraceful for United. I think they'll struggle top 4, but I respect your decision.
I do make it clear, very, very finely in.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. I personally think that's from 7.
I think we're in for a bit of a jammy run where we get a bit lucky.
It will be jammy. It'll be pure United. I mean, 7 to 4th, I think will be tight. I think the top 3 will be running away with it, and scrapping it out themselves. I've got Spurs 4th.
Fair shout.
Yeah. Sorry if you can hear fireworks behind us.
Some clown has decided to. We're not filming this on the 5th of November either. No. He's late. Yeah, just saying.
I got chickens, man. It's going to be chickens. I've got 4th, Spurs for 4th, for the Mourinho factor. I do think they'll implode, though. I've put them there, but there's still an aspect of me that thinks that
Mourinho is prone to it.
But they look great. I think, honestly,
they do look good. But
I think the key for me is how Mourinho is utilising Kane, because it's very similar to how Mourinho. He sounds like he owns a kebab shop in Skegness. Mourinho.
That is Wayne Rooney's future.
Mourinho. I think the way he's utilised Kane in that almost as a number 10, where Kane, because he's such a great passer of the ball, but he's still a striker. He's still getting goals. He's still pushing forward, but he just links the play with Son in particular. They're one of the best. They're only a couple of goals off being like they're one of the best Premier League partnerships of all time, which is amazing, which is mental. But considering they've not won anything, that's the only problem.
This is the key.
I think you said this when I was out one day.
I always say, but have you won anything?
Yeah, it's true. It's, you want to look back on your career and see that. But I agree with you. If Spurs can finish, I've got them fourth. I think it'll be a scrap, but I do think they'll finish fourth. And I think if they can get the Europa League or a trophy, do you know what? If they get Europa League, I think they'll finish probably sixth. If they don't get Europa League, but they get a League Cup, I think they'll finish fourth, because it's about having that momentum and being able to divide.
Europa League is a hard competition, and that is why I say fifth.
Mourinho knows it though. He knows how to get through it, and I think the squad's good enough with how Mourinho is utilising all the key elements of it.
But
to be
they
able
lost
to
to
get
Antwerp. Just throwing that in there.
Oh, for God's sake! He's played the Antwerp card. I didn't think he was going to play it. I thought
you've got
safe.
to, haven't you? Third,
City.
Oh,
what you got?
City as well.
Wow. As I say, I think personally the top three teams all be cut off from the rest of the league.
Yes, I think that there will be a gap. You will notice there is one team that is still absent from my list.
Oh, Christ.
People around the country now are screaming.
Let them scream. Let them scream. But for now, I mean, we've both got City in there, with the idea though that they'll be still scrapping with the top two, whoever our top two is. I feel this could be Pep's last year.
Yeah, I think he's gone at the end of this year. I feel certain of it.
How do you reckon they'll get on the Champions League?
I don't think they'll do much. I really don't. I think that squad is, particularly defensively, poor. If you take Kevin De Bruyne out of this team, and if you take Aguero out, you ain't got much there.
I still think it's a good squad. I look at that, I see Silva.
I think they're good, but I don't think they're trophy winning good. I'm saying, bold call, third and no trophies.
I don't think they'll get League Cup or FA Cup.
I don't think they're winning anything this year.
I see Pep putting all his energy into the Champions League and not getting it.
Yep.
I think they'll do all right though. I think they'll go out in the semi-finals.
I think they'll go like quarters, semis,
which is better than they've done.
Well, no, because they went out to Lyon, didn't they, last year?
Yeah, exactly. So I think for them
same
to get
position,
if they could go out in the semi-finals. I mean, like I say, for me, if I was Pep, I'd bail, just because I think there's a desperate rejig needed of this squad, and I wouldn't want that job. I really wouldn't.
Guardiola,
I think it's going to be hard.
This is the thing that I always say about Pep. Everywhere he goes to a ready-made team. I
always use the metaphor of he's like an English teacher who's got the best class, so therefore he's the best teacher.
He is.
For me, I think Klopp's miles a better manager than
agree.
Pep, because Klopp had to go in there and rebuild that Liverpool team and did, and now he's got to maintain it. I think Pep struggles to maintain it when it starts to fall apart.
I mean, you look at the team when Pep went there in his first year.
Who did he have there when he first went there? You still had Aguero.
He had like Aguero, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Vincent Kompany. He had a strong team, and he only fetched like fourth.
And he got away with it because of his legacy, and because he was.
And it was like, it's
rebuilding.
His first year. But if you look at that team now, they are worse than when he first came in. Yeah,
I don't know if you can lay that at his feet, because
he's spent an astronomical amount of money on that defence, and they are now worse than what they were before.
Man City should not. I like Nathan Ake because he's got.
I think he's good.
He's got long
but
hair.
Does he start?
No, he shouldn't. He's gone from Bournemouth to the first team at Man City.
Does he start
that is
every
hilarious.
week?
No, that is hilarious. As a squad player, he's fine because he can play left back. He can probably drop into that CDM role that Fernandinho played for many years. But considering he's gone from Bournemouth to Man City, from Bournemouth to Man City, from Bournemouth, it's just. Sorry, I went into autopilot.
It's true though.
It's true. It's very true. And he's.
He shouldn't be playing every week.
No, But
he
if
shouldn't
you've got
be
no
the
one
guy.
else,
He shouldn't be the guy that they look to.
I don't mind Laporte. Roger, he's all right.
But this is it though. If you look at just his signings,
I don't like Mendy at left back.
No, you look at his signings, the players that he's brought in. None of them light my world on fire. Think about it. He didn't sign De Bruyne. He didn't sign Aguero.
God, you've gone in hard. You can tell you're in hard. I feel
and
like you've done 14 hours prep for this City of.
I will say, even though I'm a Man United fan,
No, I'd never say
I'm
that.
I'm looking at this from a completely objective stance. I think again, he's a good manager when he's got a ready-made team. I do not think that he can build a team.
I agree. I think he'll bail at the end of this
year.
I
think he's gone.
And I think it's a hard job going in, because the City have been at the top level since so Mark Hughes did the transitional period, and then obviously was it Mancini who came in straight after Mark Hughes?
I believe so, yeah.
And obviously Mancini did really well to take him. I think he doesn't get enough
then
credit.
You've got Count Dracula himself.
Yes, Pellegrini came in. Yeah. But since after the Mark Hughes transition, they've always been at the top level, and maybe now is the time that they're going to have their United's.
There's going to be a slide.
Yeah, they're going to have to, and I think they'll struggle massively.
Because who are you going to get?
Well, we've had this conversation with United. You know, it's only Poch. It's only Poch. You know, it's such a shame for.
There's a race.
Yeah, it's a shame for City really that that Arteta went to Arsenal because he'd have been the natural.
I believe that he's the guy they were lining up.
Yeah, big time. They'd have been pissed, man, that he went to Arsenal. You know, because they put all this work into him. You know, Pep probably, and he knows that squad. He knows the club. He would have been the perfect person. You know, that's why I think Arsenal have it's a coup for them getting him, because I think he's a quality young manager. Right, come on then. Who have you got in second? we have basically what we've done during this for people listening is we've had a blank league table and we've been filling them in. Literally as we think of them on the spot. So we're now at a point now where everything is filled from 3rd to 20th, and neither of us
only number 1 and number 2 left.
Neither of us know we obviously know what teams. I mean, I can look at Rise league table. I know which
there's a team missing.
Yeah, in particular there's a team missing. I don't know if he can look at mine and see who I've got as my top 2. But go on, Ryan. Who have you got second?
Second. Oh, I don't want to give away my number 1.
Do you want me to go?
You go second.
Right, so my second is Chelsea.
Okay, well, so you think that they're going to climb still?
Yeah, big time, man. I think Chelsea will. I think they'll be better than Man City, even though I've said that I don't rate Lampard.
You've just said that Lampard's a fraud.
Just slagged him
shit.
And I put him in second.
And he's second. Is this a long, far away second, or is this?
No. I think the top 3 will be scrapping for a while. And
do you think though, like, I mean, the number 1? Do you think that they're going to be 100 million miles away, or do you think it's going to be like scraping it?
I think for a number of months, the top 3 will be. This is my journey. Okay, so for the top 3. Which I can say first, top I've got Liverpool. So I think, obviously, because of when you work it out.
Like, do you think they're going to comfortably win the league?
No, so this is my journey. So I think Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea will be swapping it around for a number of months, and then Man City will come away. Yeah. I think they'll drop into 3rd, and then it'll be Chelsea and Liverpool, and then I think in the last probably 3 weeks, last 3 games, Liverpool will come away.
Wow. So you think Chelsea are going to hang in there for a while?
Yeah, I do, man. I like them. I think there's a buzz about them in terms of you've got to think when you look at the quality that's coming now. Normally when teams overspend, I always think it's a bad idea because all you're doing is throwing money at a problem. And I felt sorry for them younger players into our Chelsea squad, such as Abraham. Loftus-Cheek's a great player who's never been given an opportunity. Now he's on loan at Fulham. You know, you've got Reece James. I mean, Reece James is still part of the squad, which is great. You know, Hudson-Odoi. There's all these players that have now been pushed away to bring in for these big names. But whenever I've seen them, every game they get better. Chilwell is such a good signing. He's come in and it's defensively he's always been solid, but now he's starting to look more attacking. Now he's in an attacking side. So you've got someone who's already defensive, who's now got that attacking element to his game. I think him and Reece James as fullbacks are great. Defensively, there's issues because Thiago Silva's like 48, and you know him and Wes Morgan in a race. You know, I think.
Well, this is what I'm saying. There's holes in that team.
But every game they get better. Every game. And the fact that Lampard, when people were going, they're not defensive, purposely went, right, I'll show you what defensive is like. And then really kind of didn't concede any goals. And do you know what? There's a great stat I saw the other day. Since Mendy's come in, it's the first time they've had like 4 games or 5 games without clean sheets for 10 years.
Wow.
That
10 years?
It's something like that. It's the last time Czech was in goal.
Yeah.
You know, and that is amazing. That shows like the fact that he's had an impact. He's not a great goalkeeper, don't get me wrong, but
he's got to be better than Kepa.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the buzz of the fact he's come in and he looks comfortable. He's going for balls. You know, he doesn't have that nervousness that Kepa has. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that toyed in with. I mean, if at the end of the day it's an attacking game, I think if Chelsea can score more goals than the teams they're playing, which I think they can, I personally think they'll have enough longevity to be fighting with them top 3. I might be wrong. City might be second, you know, but I still think that'll be my 3 that battle it out, and then Liverpool will come out on top.
Wow.
And to briefly go into Liverpool, I think the reason why
they're missing Van Dijk.
I think they've shown enough. I know it's very brief since Van Dijk obviously went out injured.
Alisson's out.
Yeah, he's back.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's back now.
Still could be a problem.
I mean, Matip's out, but I mean they did this thing where basically they had to obviously pick a centre back to come in for Matip to go against. Now we had this conversation. I said, Joe Gomez, when you're looking at the person that's going to lead your back line,
he's not
Joe Gomez at 22 is not the geezer, no. But they had this thing when they had to put someone next to him, and they decided to pick Nathaniel Phillips because I think the other centre-back that they had was registered for the Champions League and Nathaniel Phillips wasn't, so that makes sense if you're putting them on the same level. And he looked really strong. And all it takes is, as long as you trust a player like that, a few games until people look at them differently and think, God, that's a good young player coming through. You know, it could go the other way where it just doesn't happen, but... And Jota in particular, man. As long as
he's a good sign.
This is where Klopp needs. This is where he could go wrong if he sticks with Firmino and doesn't give Jota. Because we've always said this is the problem with United. We keep going back to United, and I apologise for that. It's just easy to do.
And it's not even me that's saying.
No, it's me. It's me. You know, he's turned me into United. Mad, it's crazy, but. When players prove that they deserve to be in the squad, you have to put them in the squad, because otherwise you're basically saying to them, no, I've got this player that I prefer. But you're also telling the rest of the squad there's no point, pushing to be in the squad and pushing in other games. If he puts Jota straight in the squad, first Premier League guy, that trusts him, but it says to everyone else in the squad, you play well, then you could end up in this first team. And you need that energy and that competitiveness to be able to have longevity for the season, because you're going to have constantly players swapping in and out. And I don't know, I just think that Klopp's got the character, the managerial experience and the quality to be able to drive Liverpool to the end and be able to get the title. You know, I think the squad's better than City's. I think it's better than Chelsea's. I don't think it's got enough depth, particularly up front. But even when they're bringing in players like Shaqiri, I mean, I've never rated Shaqiri. He looked great when he came on with Jota, and they ended up being able to turn the result around last week. So I just really feel that even though I thought there'd be a second season drop off, I think they've got the quality and the experience to be able to get through even without Van Dijk. That's my pitch. Right, so you've got 2 spaces left. One of them's going to be a shock. Have you decided where you're going? If you put who I think you're going to put top, you know, honestly, I might have cardiac.
Well, look, see, I'm saying, right, Van Dijk's injured, and many believe he could be out for the most of this season. Big problems. If Alisson is back, okay, that's a bit better, but still doesn't resolve your defensive problems. You know, I think, particularly if, let's say, Salah gets injured, who's coming in there, you could maybe put Jota in there, but it's not really his natural position. There's problems. There's a severe lack of depth, and I've said this for years about Liverpool. If they get 3 injuries in the first team, they're in trouble. And I believe... that this is the year that they get those said injuries. And it started with Van Dijk, right?
Yeah. No, keep going. I'm listening. I don't know why
and
you're laughing.
I'm saying, right, there's a couple of points in it. And I mean, you know that year City just nicked the league from United?
Yeah, amazing.
I'm saying, right, end of the year, 2 points difference between the winner and second. And I'm saying Liverpool are second.
God, you sound like you're presenting the X Factor.
Which can only leave one team left at number 1. And I believe they are scraping in through the back door with 2 points, and due to an absolute don of a manager that just knows what he's doing, Everton are number 1. How insane are we going here? We're going crazy. Everton are winning the league by 2 points. Just over Everton, purely because Van Dijk is out. If he comes back for a considerable portion of the season, Liverpool will win the league. But if Van Dijk is out, Everton are going to steal it. Just. That is my big call for the season, and I stand by that decision. Because Ancelotti. Without Ancelotti, Everton are nowhere near. That is my call. Bold claims. You're speechless currently.
No, I just coming to terms with just what's happening.
All I'm saying is United 11th.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think. Right, I'll give you that 20 quid in a bit. I think that decision by Ryan probably levels out my United in 11th claim.
I honestly believe that there will be a couple of points in it, and I believe that it is entirely dependent on Virgil van Dijk being fit or not. That's the little asterisk that I put next to Everton. I think if the likes of Richarlison, James Rodriguez stay fit, they will win the league. And just.
I mean, I'm purposely kind of being quiet.
I think it's one of those. It's one of those Leicester seasons where something weird happens.
I'd love Everton to win the league, and you got to think because of the late start and coronavirus and everything.
I'm saying it's all of these factors together.
It has changed the way that teams have started, and how open games are. There's no fans there, and this could be a season where, I mean, for a while I thought Spurs. I could have easily put Spurs in that position. I think Spurs and Everton are the teams where they'll sneak up. I don't think Leicester are that team because I think they'll run out of steam. But I think Spurs and Everton. I mean, I'd love Everton to win the league. To beat Liverpool to it as well would just be amazing.
I'm saying a couple of points.
I mean, I've put Liverpool top. But I mean, Liverpool's team in their last game when they beat West Ham 2-1. I mean, you've got Alisson in goal, so he's back. You've got Robertson, Gomez, Phillips, the young lad I mentioned, Alexander-Arnold.
But think about it, right? In that game, they weren't brilliant, were they?
They needed Shaqiri and Jota come on.
They struggled,
but they got the win.
Just,
I think it's a sign of a title.
Right,
winning
you
side,
imagine,
though,
right? That Liverpool team goes up against the likes of City, Spurs, Chelsea. You could argue, Arsenal. I don't think
it'd be Arsenal.
Maybe Arsenal, but I do not think that they're going to be demolishing teams like they have been doing.
I don't think they'll be demolishing. I just think they're going to have the longevity to be able to, and the experience to be able to get through. The key to winning the league isn't winning games 5-0, 4-0, smashing it. It's like last season with City and Liverpool. City on paper probably were the better side. They looked better. They were, the quality of football was better. But Liverpool just. I mean, as a United fan, you'll know this. It's just about keep winning the games you need to win. Just keep picking away. And if they lose a couple of games to a Chelsea or a
Aston Villa.
But I think the Villa game was important for them because it made them. It was the scare that they needed, and it should have been the same for United, and it wasn't. They needed that scare to be able for Klopp to look and make sure that they're really taking this as what the challenge it is, because it's such a challenge because it's such a marathon. But I think Liverpool have got that in them. Like, if Alisson was injured for the rest of the season, I'd probably think a bit differently, because I think that's such an integral part of their side.
I believe there's another twist coming. I think Alisson.
There could be.
I think Alisson's going to get injured again.
No, he's not known for it.
I know.
Injury problems.
I have that feeling. I'm getting a vibe off it.
Yeah, I agree with you. If something like that happens, but at the same time in Everton, if Rodriguez gets that,
yes. I when I say Everton are going to win, as I say, I do put an asterisk on it. Yeah. I think Virgil van Dijk is so critical. I think people rave about him, but I think even then, people don't quite realise how important he is to that Liverpool setup.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I always said that Alisson and it's very weird that them two went out at the same time, because they're the two players that changed Liverpool. Exactly. They took them to the level that made them the powerhouse that they were. I mean, I'm a massive fan of. I'm not doing this tricky, I promise. No, I'm a massive fan of Jordan Henderson.
I hate Jordan Henderson. just putting it out there. I think he's the most bang average player you'll see going. I find it absolutely criminal that he is in the England setup still, because I think that there are better players that are available.
There's better players for England.
Yes, and I think
for Liverpool he serves a purpose.
Yes, potentially, but I think even then I do feel that there's just better players.
You take him out though, that's when things go wrong.
It's a strange one. I feel that he's one of those where.
He's a Darren Fletcher, but different type of player.
Kind of,
He's a Darren Fletcher in that you in a Michael Carrick.
He's a guy in the dressing room.
Yeah,
that's what he is. I do not think on the field as an actual player he makes too much of an impact.
I disagree. I think he links everything together and does the things that gets missed, and that's why it's stereotypically seen as a player. He doesn't take the headlines, you need them players, and then these are the players that sets everyone else up to get the headlines,
It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
I think for us reflecting back on it, because I've got Man United in 11th, you've got Everton to win the league. I mean, it could all change, So.
I think I just feel we're in for a weird season. We've had a weird year.
You're right.
And we're in for a strange season.
It's like the Leicester season.
And yes, I think that
is the same vibe.
That's the vibe that we're getting, and I think that's the road it's going down. I think we're going to be a bit surprised on how it ends.
Yeah, I think Everton or Spurs will definitely pull up trees. I think they'll definitely shock a few people. I don't think Leicester will, but I think they definitely will. Do you know what? It was a season that Wolves could have done that.
Yeah,
Wolves really could have took advantage of that, and it's a shame that they haven't really. Or we don't think they will anyway.
No, I don't think they will. I think if they'd have gone out and got like a stellar striker or somebody, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm calling it now. Everton are going to scrape the league. Just saying.
Right. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the full-time vibes, full Premier League predictions table as of what are we on? We're on the 6th of November. Obviously, it's different in terms of the Premier League schedule. We're only sort of 7 games in. But what we'll do is when it gets to the... Because obviously we're going to be doing this every week, every Friday, and reviewing the week. When it gets to the end of the season, we will look back on our Premier League predictions and see how closely we were to... and I think it'll be really interesting because there's a lot of out-there claims, as we said, even towards the bottom. It'll be really interesting to see how things play out. We're still early days, but I mean, we said it when we printed the Premier League table out, is things are starting to fall into place. Even just in a week, you look at it last week and it's still all over the place. My worry though is that for United in particular, the table's coming into place and they're sat currently wedged in a beautiful sandwich of Brighton and West Ham.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I just think that we're in for a turning point. I really do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be very good. Right. So at the end of each show, we'll pick a song that we think kind of reflects the week and our feelings towards it. So what's yours, Ryan?
Right. Mine's kind of a Man United centric thing. Obviously.
It's not, is it?
Oh, it's not.
It can't be.
I'm saying The Sound of Silence. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm saying this because we're going around the same circles again. Mourinho, Solskjaer, same problems. We went back to the summer. We're back where we were at the start, so it's got to be that.
I'm going to have Motorhead killed by death for Sean Dyche. Right, this has been the Full-Time Vibe. Thank you all for listening to our first ever show. How do you feel it went, Brian?
I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, I do
I'm
as
quite
well.
happy with it.
Yeah, we dropped a few bombshells.
Oh yes.
We had a few laughs. We weren't inappropriate.
No, which is
good.
pretty good going, I think.
Consider it, yeah. And we hope you all enjoyed listening. Like I say, we'll be doing this every Friday. Please let us know your thoughts. And yeah, we'll see you along the road.
Don't hate me for saying Everton #1, just saying.
Hate it. And I'm sure everyone will love the fact that I put Man United in 11th.
Oh no, this is the criminal
right.
thing of it. Alright, we will see you all next week.
See you all. Bye-bye from the Full-Time Vibe.
Bye.
If you're the Anvil, you're fucking Grimsby, aren't you?